Welcome, my friends, the show that never ends. And me and Kieran have just had a Kieran on the couch time. He's been doing a few presentations there at university. Now, it is Monday morning, in fact, so we're hoping I will get this out by the end of Monday. You never know. I've got a couple of things that might be a problem. One is the music and the other is the picture, just in case copyright comes into play. We'll see when I try and put it up on YouTube whether they try and charge me or something. It'd be interesting to see. Obviously, the first conversation we're going to have is Wycombe Wanderers. There's a couple of things about Wycombe Wanderers, and I'm just looking for all the notes that I don't actually have on me. So I will put a stop on this when we get to that part and go and find them. I don't know what you've done with them. No, I haven't got them with me. I've got about 10 bits and pieces, and I don't have them with me. So when we come to that second part about Wycombe Wanderers, I'll go and get the notes. Okay, straight into it. Bugger. Wycombe lost to Morecambe. This is one of those games where everybody expects you to go off to Morecambe and win. Morecambe being at the lower end of the table, Wycombe started top of the table. They're fourth now, I believe. What went wrong? Well, you've seen the highlights. I've seen the highlights. We can pick what happened with the goals. Difficult to pick what happened with the rest of it other than listen to people such as Gareth Ainsworth. Obviously, the players did really well and tried very hard. They do every game, as he says.
Very proud.
He's proud. Yeah, he's very proud. I couldn't help but sort of look at two of those goals and think midfield looked a little bit on the dodgy side. But shall we start with Wycombe's first goal in 2 minutes?
It was a very nice goal.
It was.
Yeah, it was nice ball in from Abita and Akinfenwa. I mean, it was pretty simple Route 1 kind of football, but it was still very nice. Well,
and you have to say, with Akinfenwa diving towards you, you would get out the way.
Yeah, it's not the most appetising of circumstances you want to be in, is it?
No, standing there with Akinfenwa coming through the air.
Yeah. Like it's life or death, isn't it? Essentially,
it is really.
You either concede a goal or you die.
Stand aside, all yours, Akinfenwa. We'll leave that one to you. Good goal. Yeah. No, he didn't have anybody in front of him before he started diving or after.
No.
Simple, easy goal. Ball in the air. I noticed. I felt that as much as Wycombe do now play it on the ground, had to be. That pitch was shocking from what I could see and through comments other people have made. Not going to use that as an excuse, mind you. I'm not. Their goals bobbled on the ground, but, you know, so would ours. Both teams had to play on it. In fact, Morecambe have to play on it 24 times in a season.
23.
23. You're right. Yeah. Well, 24 if you count the FA Cup.
Maybe, if they get that far.
Well, one game.
Well, it might be away.
True.
But yes.
So, first goal, excellent.
Their first goal was a corner that just got headed in at the back post because no one was standing on the back post.
No, we've been through that about people standing on the posts, and Wycombe also play they have their zones, don't they, with players who mark the players that are coming in.
Yeah.
Their players didn't come in. The players were already there. What can you do? Somebody's going to win the header.
The bloke was about 4 foot above everyone else, and he was competing for a header against Akinfenwa. And as much as he is good in the air, Akinfenwa, he is much smaller than this bloke. And
Needed a box.
if someone has a run on Akinfenwa from a corner, then they're likely going to win it.
If it's well placed,
if it's well put in the box, and it was decently put in the box. So
yeah. I know everybody sort of again use the term points fingers at things like that, not well defended. No, sometimes it's well taken, and I thought that goal was well taken, and I don't see that there was a problem really with that one. I think that was that.
We would have done very well to have stopped it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So it's what it is.
Yeah, no blame given. No. Next was Wycombe's second goal.
The P roller into the bottom corner.
Grimmer scored another one. I mean, how about that? Grimmer scored another one. That's a bit of a shot.
Yeah, I've got it in front of me, and it is just kind of edge of the box. He's scurried to try and hit it. It's gone in off the post, but it is a bit of a faffy. It's just a punt into the box from Abita and a loose header that he's just latched onto, but it's a goal.
Yeah,
it's nothing fantastic that we've done. It's just it's an okay goal, really.
No, they gave it to Hanlon on my phone. For quite a long time, and now it's gone to Grimmer. So they changed.
I mean, maybe it takes a little flick. I don't think it does.
They did at the time.
Hanlon suggests he doesn't touch it, but
yeah, they did at the time. Then, of course, come back Morecambe. This one, I think this one looks a bit dodgy in central defence. Do you think?
Central defence and goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Essentially goalkeeper because of the bobble. That's the only thing you could really give an excuse for. He doesn't
catch him, does he?
No. And he doesn't evidently push it far wide enough.
No. So Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought looked a little bit dodgy, and goalkeeper needs to put that round the post.
Yeah. He also the rebounds in which the bloke scores from as well. I mean, the goalkeeper doesn't move. I mean, whether if he does dive, he would save it, I don't know, but he doesn't move.
I think he could.
I think all round it was just pretty poor defending from centre backs and goalkeeper, really.
Yeah, I think he could have picked the ball up, put it on the ground, and said, "Here, I'll kick that one in the net."
Yeah, It was poor.
But we're Division 1, and I think if we're expecting, I mean, to be fair, Stewart rarely makes, he doesn't make too many, and nor does goalkeeper. But he does have a weakness, doesn't he, at doing that? The goalkeeper does. He does have a weakness of just tapping it in front of the player on the left.
We've definitely mentioned about the goalkeeper this season a couple of times in a few goals. You're like, it's not like explicitly and obviously his fault, but you're like, you could have done something a bit better there.
Yeah.
It's similarly with their first goal. It's straight at him.
Yeah, and against Stewart.
And against, I mean, it's kind of tough to tell from the highlights, but centre backs in general, yes, it is Stewart actually, because Tafazoli and Grimmer are far back, playing the bloke on side, but ensuring that he's not supposed to be getting through. Stewart is far in front, to track his man, and it's just a lofted ball into the box that the bloke's able to poke home.
Yeah.
Again, it's just pretty poor. He shouldn't have that much space.
No, very weak goal. I mean, so there weren't actually, unlike last week, there weren't any good goals really, were there in this?
I mean, our first one was pretty good, but apart from that, no.
I don't mean sort of. It just means it was a bit Sunday morning football, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely goals that you shouldn't be conceding if you're wanting to go up in the top two or
No,
playoffs, even, to be honest.
it did. Do you
But
think Wickham
I feel
were
like you
good
have.
to go up?
I think I know me especially, but I think we may have got a little bit overhyped in the last couple of weeks by getting into first and winning a few games and drawing against Sunderland and all that sort of thing.
I was going to say,
Are we good? I think if we were to hit a run, we'd be good enough to get out of this league, but I don't think we'd be good enough to stay in the Championship again with this current team. Which, I mean, it makes you ponder the question: do we want to go up? If we know we're not going to be able to stay up. I know we did very well last year, but that really turned when Ep24 turned up and started banging the goals for us in the second half of the season.
Yes.
I don't know whether we'd be able to get that sort of, accolade of striker again, and it to work to the same extent. So at the moment, yes, we are good enough to go up. Whether we'd be good enough to stay up, I don't know.
Well, Kieran sent me, when Wycombe scored, sent me a little GIF of Akinfenwa doing a dance. And I replied with, check the playoff dates are free. And you replied, won't need them at this rate. And that was at 22 minutes past 3.
Well, according to Twitter, we were far on top.
So you were at 22 minutes past 3. You were predicting top 2. Funny how things change, isn't it? Makes me think about the way Manchester City are definitely winning, and then suddenly one game later it's dodgy, and there's a race on again.
Live for the back in the title race, mate.
Yeah, funny that, isn't it? But 1 week, one game each, and how things change. Top 6. Yes, especially if we beat Milton Keynes.
Yeah,
but it is in our hands. We can. I mean, we got to play Wigan, and we got to play Milton Keynes. We only have to lose those 2.
I think it's very important we avoid losing to those sort of teams at home, because that is who we're playing mainly.
A draw would be fine, would they not?
Draws are fine against these teams as long as you're beating the other ones.
Like Morecambe.
But I think whoever you are, you always have a couple of losses throughout the season. You're like, I shouldn't have lost that one. And we definitely shouldn't have lost. Like Morecambe away should be annoyingly one of those that you're just like, yeah, this is not a guaranteed win, but like you just got to grind out and get 3 points, whereas we didn't really do that, unfortunately.
I actually, I've got the statistics here. We'll deal with this first. Here goes your one of the problems. Morecambe possession 51, Wycombe 49. That shows a slight problem. Why is that? I've got a whole thing that I wanted to do on how the league table would work out last year in the Premier League if you put them in position based on possession, and how the table would look, showing that actually when they talk about they had possession, how actually that doesn't mean you win the league. I just thought I'd mention that. We will look at that sometime. Shots 17 each, cards 2 each, Corners, Morecambe 5, Wycombe 3. Fouls. Oh no, this is a definite away team here. Morecambe 9, Wycombe 20. I think we were sticking the foot in there. I think only 2 cards. I think we got away with that, maybe. Were they really that pathetic, the tackles? Offsides, Morecambe 1, Wycombe didn't get caught offside.
Really? Well, it's because Akinfenwa's not running beyond the defender, is he?
And expected goals. Well, see, Morecambe, it was 1.72, so they were way over. Chances, I mean, they took their chances and more, in other words. Doesn't look good for Wycombe, that.
No.
And Wycombe was 1.8, which we got. So 2 goals, fine. It should have been 2-2, judging by this.
Yeah.
Should have finished 2-2. So Morecambe basically got away with it.
I mean, they got away with it, but that was down to our poor defending, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so that means now Morecambe, we've played Morecambe 7 times. They've won 3, we've won 3 and 1 draw. So there we go. That's on that. The next little topic I wanted to discuss was somebody, the guy that often writes, which is, I'd like to say thank you very much. I always like reading what people say, and it's good to have different people's opinions on what we say. Wrote in and said, comments we make about Wycombe players, he thinks we're a bit harsh on Curtis Thompson. Me. And I've been thinking about that. And I guess the way you judge that is that if he was sat there, what would I say to him? Would I go on about and actually feel that I have a right to say about his play? Because if I think I think, for instance, I wouldn't have a problem summing up that game and saying about the goalkeeper. I would probably say that to him. I think he's really good. He's saved Wycombe a number of times, but sometimes I think you need to push the ball out round that post rather than just stopping it in front of goal. And I think it would be a fair comment to make. He probably knows it. But would I say what I say to Curtis Thompson? No, I don't think I would. I think he's a little bit slow and therefore sticks the boot in and therefore commits fouls sometimes in dangerous areas when players get away from him. But I would also say, as Gareth Ainsworth would say, he puts in 120% every game. Would I replace him on the football pitch with anybody else at the moment? I can't think of anybody I would replace him with.
Gape, maybe, if he's fit.
He never is he?
No.
Did you see Scanlon was missing?
Yeah.
And I think that made a big difference on that pitch.
Do you know Scanlon's our most paid player now?
Is he? So I would actually say I'm going to apologise to Curtis Thompson. I feel I do have that comment about him being slow, I think is fair enough. I'd be interested to look at his fouls committed. Be interested to see how many of that 20 were him. And so I think he can make those mistakes. But I also think, and does he do a different job to Scanlon? Scowen, sorry. Does he?
Yeah.
He does.
He goes about it a different way, doesn't he? Whether it's the same job, I don't know.
He controls the other side, doesn't he? Does he have control in the midfield, do you think? I think
When I watched him,
he does make it hard for teams to get through there.
yeah, I'd say he makes it hard. I don't recall many times in which I've felt that he's controlled the midfield, but I don't think we do as a team necessarily. But I think that's because controlling the midfield has always been seen as like a midfield that passes the ball to and fro between the defence and the attack. And
no, we don't do that, do we?
But we don't do that. The only way you can measure as to whether we control midfield is to like how many tackles we're putting in, how many ball recoveries you're putting in a game, because that's just the way we play. And he's probably done that on numerous occasions. It's just kind of difficult to see if you're watching it from the naked eye on the sidelines, unless you're fully concentrating on what he's doing, which rarely I think we probably are.
So I'm going to keep a bit more of an eye on him and maybe come back with a few. But I think I've been too harsh. So yeah. The other one suggested was bringing some of the younger players into the team, and I'm going to say I don't think so. If we were in the League Cup, say, they're the places. I'm not sure right now is a place to try it out. And I always think if 3-0 up at half time, it means they can score 3 in the second half. So I think there isn't a time to bring players on because you've won the game. Which always bothers me when you see players going off after 60 minutes. I think if you're taking your best players off because you think you're now just hanging out there for 30 minutes, you can score lots of goals in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't change it for the sake of giving somebody a run around.
If there was also a very slim chance of us making playoffs, or if we were in between like 10th and 14th, say, then I'd say go for it occasionally. But at this point, it's not worth. Like, if we're that comfortable on the 80-minute mark, then by all means. But I don't think it's
what's that comfortable. You see, that's where I would argue.
But the problem is for us. The problem is
2-0. Because I wouldn't feel too comfortable at 2-0 with 10 minutes to go.
Well, it has to be 3, doesn't it? And the problem is with that, I suppose, it doesn't happen very often in which we're 3-0 up on the 80th minute. So it's just very unlikely. I assume the guy who commented is mainly talking about people like Debar, and because he's shown glimpses of what he can do, but not enough to suggest he should be starting or being subbed on regularly as a game changer kind of thing. And so, I mean, if they get to a point where they should, like, if they deserve it, then by all means. But I don't think putting younger players out for the sake of it is the way to go at the moment.
Okay. Right. I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna press stop, and I'll be straight back with the information. Okay. I don't lose that first bit, do I?
Let's hope not. I don't think you do.
Be bloody pissed off if we did. Right. Second part. Wycombe Wanderers, Part 2. A week last Thursday, Derby were told by Quantuma, that's Derby's administrators, that they'd found a bidder to buy Derby. Then something shocking happened to Derby, and they got rid of or sold or left Jagielka and Graham Shinney. And also there's been another player just recently moved on. They've just lost their 3 best players. Now, do you know who's looking at buying Derby.
Newcastle's old owner, isn't it?
Yeah, Sports Direct man. That's not good, is it?
Based on previous events, probably not.
But he's really about the 8th in a row of people that have looked at doing so. But they have a problem, Derby, and we know they're in a problem with money. And I'm going to make this very quick and simple, okay? Derby got done for those points for cheating. It was for cheating, I might add, but that is suggesting they knew they were doing it. And here we go. Both Middlesbrough and Wycombe are suing Derby. So this is the way that works. Middlesbrough, this is why Middlesbrough are suing them. Different reason than Wycombe. And that is that Derby bought 7 players in the 18-19 season. They then picked up 14 points from the final 6 games and got into 6th place, leaving Middlesbrough in 7th. That means that Derby went off to the playoffs, where they actually got beaten by Aston Villa. At the beginning of that season, they sold their ground to another Mel Morris, who owned Derby business. He sold it for 80 million. So, because of all the way the money's worked, and we explained how they fiddled the money for the players in a previous video, in that they, out of the 92 clubs, 91 worked out how much the players were worth. And Derby did it in a completely different way to make all their players worth a lot more. Derby, for the first time in 10 years, in the 17-18 season, made 14.6 million profit because they could put the stadium back a year. So Derby then went out and bought Martin Waghorn for 5 million. Now, Middlesbrough had basically sorted that deal out. And then Derby walked in with all this extra cash because they'd done all these fiddles, and bought and offered him a ton more and bought him. Derby, after the deal Middlesbrough had done, came in and bought him. Now, they had 9 points deducted last November for that, but it meant Middlesbrough didn't get in those playoffs, and consider that they were outdone from that season because of the way Derby cheated. Okay. Now, it's important to say that is the word Middlesbrough are using. The owner says they cheated. They gave themselves an unfair advantage. It is important to note cheating or cheated was mentioned 6 times in the statement that Middlesbrough handed in. But they have to prove that Derby knowingly cheated. And Middlesbrough are looking at suing them for 45 million. Okay? Now, we come to Wycombe. Wycombe, we know what happened in the 9 points, etc., and the rest should have been taken last season, not this, in which case Wycombe would have stayed up, Derby would have gone down. Wycombe are suing Derby for 6 million. So anybody wanting to buy Derby will have debts already of 60 million, including the HMRC of 29.3 million, which normally you would only pay 25% in the position they're in. But because of the pandemic, the laws were changed. So now they have to pay 100%. Problem is the FA didn't change the rule books, so it's going to court to see whether they have to pay 25p for each pound or whether they have to pay the full amount, which is what the law says. So that's all rather complicated. Okay, but here's the point. The order of payment of money that they now owe means they have to pay the 29.3 million Middlesbrough and Wycombe, and then the 60 million. So that works out 100 million. So if anybody buys the club, they can't buy the club and then start working out who they're going to pay and when. They've got to pay that up front, every single penny. They can't get away with any, we'll pay it this way or that way. No, they've got to pay it outright, every penny, before they own the club. Now, there are fiddles and ways you can get out of this, and that's why it's taken so long. But it's just coming to a head. The beginning of next month is when Derby have to prove they can pay to survive the season to start with. If they cannot prove that at the beginning of the month, they go under. At the moment, they don't have the money. That's why they need to start selling all their decent players. They got to start selling things. They no longer have a ground to sell. They sold that off. They can't even do that. They had that 80 million. They've already spent that. So they're in trouble. But Ashley, Mr. Sports Direct, is starting to talk to Gibson, the owner of Middlesbrough, about paying a certain amount without it going to court. And therefore, my guess is they're also possibly talking to Rob Couhig about paying him off as well, because they don't want that to carry on, because court costs money.
Do you think Wycombe Middlesbrough should sue Derby?
Well, there's lots of comments from Derby fans calling us lots of names, saying, you know, all we're after is their cash, blah, 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 and we're this and that, and what buggers we all are for trying to nick all their money. Wycombe Wanderers shouldn't sue Derby. Middlesbrough shouldn't sue Derby. The football club shouldn't suffer, but hey, it's owners. It's the owners suing the owners. The problem is the two owners of Wycombe and Middlesbrough lost their money. It's their money, not Wycombe Wanderers' money as such. It's the owners' money. And therefore, I think Derby cheated. The owners of Derby cheated. If you could put Mel Morris in the dock and sue him, then yes. That's the trouble. It's about the owners. It's about Mel Morris. It's about Gibson and Couhig. That's what it's about. It shouldn't be about Derby, Middlesbrough and Wycombe. But I'm afraid that's the way it goes. And they cheated. Why should Middlesbrough pay for Derby cheating and Wycombe pay for Derby cheating?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm only bringing that up because I saw a video from Sky with Gary Neville giving his opinion on the situation.
I bet he's on the side of Derby.
And yes.
Yeah, of course he is. And did he
saying that
explain why?
yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff in there I still didn't really understand, but he was suggesting that Wycombe Middlesbrough may not be right or wrong to sue Derby, but as a football family, they shouldn't sue Derby, otherwise Derby will go under.
I don't see Manchester United helping Derby out, though. Do you? I don't see him helping Derby out. Do you? And giving Wycombe their rightful money?
No.
No. So he's going to sit there and he is happy to watch Derby go under without putting his hands in his pocket. But Middlesbrough,
but then in saying
should.
that, it's not his it's not his responsibility to do that, though. He's just giving his opinion. We can give our opinion. Like, we don't want Derby to go under, but we're not going to get our money out, are we?
There isn't a good answer here, okay? There isn't a good moral answer here. For football's sake, Derby shouldn't have cheated.
No.
That's number one. Derby cheated. Okay? That's the first thing you've got to bother about. Point two is Middlesbrough missed out on the opportunity to play in the Premier League.
Mm.
And Wycombe missed out on the chance to play in the Championship because Derby cheated. Point three is the Derby fans, it's not their fault. Now, you've got to put that in some form of order. But should Gibson and Kuig pay because Derby cheated? Who should pay the money? They deserve their money. They deserve that money. Where should it come from?
Yeah, I mean, it's if and when. It's a very big if. It's probably not going to happen. But if Wycombe were to go under or get into some sort of trouble financially, and then be like, "Oh, it would have been fine had we stayed in the Championship for another season," or Middlesbrough vice versa. That's when it becomes an even bigger issue. But by that time, this whole situation would have been forgotten about.
What I want to ask is, do you think if Wycombe were going under, do you think Derby would help Wycombe Wanderers out?
No.
Maybe that's the question.
Mm. But then again, is it their responsibility to help us out?
Is it ours to help theirs out?
No. We're doing the legal thing, I suppose.
It's his money. It's Kuig's money. It's his money.
Yeah. And as an American owner, I can't imagine he gives too many craps about Derby. And it is his money. Like, when he does his statistics at the end of it, I'm sure he'll say or put into his bank account, it would have been 100 million more if we played in the Championship, like we should have done. He's lost out on an awful lot because of this situation, so I don't blame him for trying to sue Derby.
And also, I think the EFL have a lot to answer for not keeping their hands on what was going on over this period of time and taking too long to sue people and to take points away, etc. If they'd done it in the first place.
Mm.
See, everybody now feels sorry for Derby, but not Mel Morris.
Mm.
But don't give a monkeys about Middlesbrough losing out and Wycombe losing out. Why? I don't know. There you go. Maybe you'd like to leave your thoughts under the bottom because, well, you know, if that was my money, I'd be wanting my money back off of Derby. Actually, I have to be honest. If that was my money, I'd want it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the truth.
It's probably it's a tough thing to kind of say, and people could well think, "Oh, I can't believe you'd say that because Derby will go under if Wycombe sue them." Yeah, but that's 100 million quid, you know. But then why don't you care about people's feelings towards Derby Football Club? Don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is tough. So we'll wait and see. That should be the beginning of next month, but I'm sure it'll keep rolling on. But in theory, that's the beginning of next month. Okay, we're coming to the end. Have you got anything else to say about Wycombe Wanderers? Who we got? Milton Keynes. Come on then, MK Dons. Cock it up. At least we'd be playing on nice green grass. I did actually reply to somebody who has an Oxford post on YouTube, and he wrote something about the way we know Wycombe's style of play, which is why we lost, because they just belt it forward. I did reply and leave a message and say, look at the statistics on how many belts forward Oxford made and how many belts forward Wycombe made. You will see Oxford belt it forward a lot more than Wycombe. And I got quite a few ticks of the hand for that one, I noticed. So I wasn't the only one that thought that. And funny, he replied to everybody else's comments, nice comments, never replied to mine.
Do you remember what the bloke's name was? I kind of want to see it.
I should, because it YouTube. I will right this very moment find it for you, because
it's just funny to see what people say.
Yeah, I did think it's funny to talk about how.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah, can you read?
You said Wycombe lump it up? ? Stats read long balls. Wycombe 80, Oxford 96.
Yeah,
and you're right. He did reply to everyone else apart from yours, which got 7 likes, which was more than everyone else.
Yeah,
so well done, Michael. You showed them.
I showed them. Yeah. No, funny how nobody replied to it. Nobody replied to that because it was fact. That's the thing. Anyway, with that, we'll leave the Wycombe thing. So maybe you've had enough of listening to Kieran's voice.
Most people have.
Yeah. We got 3 things to go. How long been going? Probably far too long. Or maybe even 4 things to go. Right. Number 1.
4 things to go.
Yeah, maybe. Football on this day. Very, very quickly. 24th of January. That is actually this Monday. Are you ready for this one? This is a bit of a shocker.
I'm so excited.
On the 24th of January, 1976, which for me was just yesterday. The next time you hear about a multi-million-pound shirt sponsorship deal, spare a thought for the club who started what was a battle to get shirt sponsorship accepted in this country. Kettering Town are to blame. Shortly after arriving at Rockingham Road as player manager and chief executive, Derek Dugan, now he used to be a Wolves striker. Derek Dugan signed a 4-figure deal with Kettering Tyres to have their name printed on the club playing shirts. The first match in the country to feature sponsored shirts was in the Southern League match between the Poppies and Bath City on the 24th of January 76. The FA were not amused and ordered the removal of the ads. The club then suggested that the wording be shortened to Kettering T, meaning, of course, they said Kettering Town. But that was again blocked by the FA with a threat of a fine for non-compliance. But it didn't take long for clubs to realise that shirt sponsorship was a revenue earner, and it soon became commonplace, although not initially in televised matches. Next bit, managers. We've had only one leave to date, that's 26. His name was Hayden Mullins. He was at Colchester for only 9 months and his win rate was 26%. It was his first job as a manager, and my guess that'll be his last. He was a step-in manager at Watford twice for just 2 games and lost both of them in December 19 and July 20. So I think that's the end of his career. And then we move on to the little next topic. Now, I suppose we should be doing a quiz, but we're not going. Should we do a quiz? We're running out of time, really.
Yeah. I'm not sure people care at this point.
No. We will, yeah.
We'll do it next week.
Yeah. I will put some music leading into this bit. No, I won't. Right. Here we go then. No, I will. Music that's playing now in the background, okay, is a band called Retreat from Moscow. Now, this I think only came out last week. I love this. It's from an album called The World as We Knew It. A band from Cardiff. 4 of them around from the 1980s. Around sort of, this is a sort of atmospheric, builds up, flute haunted, really good stuff. I was a bit surprised when I heard it. I wasn't expecting quite as good as this. The rock's pretty heavy. They really got going after 1981, so they've been around as long as shirt sponsorship. But have a listen to that. That's Retreat from Moscow, the band name, from Wales, so they are foreign. Right, an award, well, they are. Fair enough comment. Wales like being Wales. Right.
Well, they do.
We'll leave this last topic. This is the last topic, so we've got to whiz through this. Have you heard of FIFPRO?
Yes.
Good. Right, since 2005, FIFPRO have asked professional footballers worldwide to select the best players in the game, to create the team with the 11 most outstanding male players and the 11 greatest women players. We will just look at the male. That's called sexism, if you like. I know nothing about women's football is the real reason. The response has been overwhelming. Each year, around 25,000 players participate in this unique vote, including the game's biggest stars, whoever that is.
It turns out they're all dumb.
Some of them are very bright, actually. I did think about doing the clever 11 versus the Dumbo 11, but I was wondering how you work out the Dumbo 11. I mean, people with great exams. Bamford, for instance, is incredibly bright, isn't he?
Yeah. Rooney and Vardy maybe up front for the Dumb 11. Sorry.
We are going to get shot this week. I tell you.
You said you were going to do a bright versus.
I know, that's why I haven't done it. But I tell you, we will be shot this week. People out there, I do apologise. We thought we'd fit in everything we shouldn't this week.
You made me a video when I was 8 years old of every bad touch that Rooney had during the 2008 Champions League final, and it had some funny memes of Rooney in it. So you've created my not hatred for Rooney, but my disliking for him.
No, I won't accept. I won't allow that. The reason I did that was to prove to you he wasn't just brilliant, that occasionally he made mistakes. Yeah. That's what that video was about. Okay, the principle is clear. Each player gets a chance to participate and every vote is equally important. The voting process is basically up to August. They're voting about last year, okay, not this year, which is why Mo doesn't get in there. all right? Because they're not voting about him this year, they're voting about him last year. Okay, and what happens is you have a goalkeeper, 3 defenders, 3 midfield, 3 forwards. And if you're a defender, you vote for defender. If you're a midfield, you vote midfield. If you're a forward, you vote forward.
That's not how it works.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And then the highest vote outside of those 10, because you've got a goalkeeper, also gets in the team. It is.
That just seems a very weird way to work it.
So you will always end up with a 3-3-3 system plus an extra player. And of course, what happens this time is it's a forward. So we've ended up with a 3-3-4.
It's a silly team.
Okay, we get a 3-3-4 because obviously it's always forwards are popular, aren't they? Okay, now here's your interesting bits of fact before we get down to the players. FIFPRO received most votes from Japan, followed by Chile and the Ukraine. Okay, Donnarumma, that's Mr. Goalkeeper, yeah, received the most votes of all players, with De Bruyne coming second, Messi finished third. They were the only players to get 10,000 votes each, more than. Ronaldo and Messi are in the World 11 for the 15th consecutive time. Third on the all-time list is Ramos, but he didn't get in there for the first time for 12 years. Donnarumma, Alaba, Dias, Haaland, Jorginho are in there for the first time. And Alaba is the first Austrian player to break in. Haaland is the first Norwegian player in, and the first player from Dortmund as well. And Bruno Fernandes was the player who most narrowly missed out on a place. He was 4th among midfielders, 306 votes short of Jorginho. Haaland was 4th among the forwards. However, he still made the team as the outfield player with the next highest amount. So you had the 3-3-3. The next highest player was Haaland. Okay. In 2019-20, the year earlier, it included Alisson, Becker, Alexander-Arnold, Davis, Virgil van Dijk, Ramos, De Bruyne, Lewandowski, Messi, Ronaldo, etc., etc. So let's look at this year's team. Okay, so we ended up with a ridiculous 3-3-4. And, of course, none of them are right or left backs, either in the defence, because all the left and right backs voted for central defenders, which it's a bit of a daft way of doing it, but still. Are we ready? Goalkeeper, just say whether you agree, disagree, who would you replace him with? Donnarumma, who's AC Milan, was also Paris Saint-Germain and Italy over that period of time. Would you agree with that, or would you replace him?
He's obviously been put in because of winning the Euros best player, in which that's a bit sus. I would change it for Mendy from Chelsea if you're going off last season.
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment? Please do about that, along with all the other things Kieran has said that he shouldn't. Defenders, we've got Alaba, Bonucci, and Dias. Of course, Alaba is Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Austria. Bonucci, Juventus, Italy, Dias, Man City, and Portugal.
Alaba, I have no idea how he's made it. That is genuinely bewildering. Bonucci's made it because of the Euros as well. Dias, probably okay. You could have him. Who would you replace them with, though? There aren't many.
These are defenders.
Yeah.
Remember, it is last year, not this year.
Yeah, and this is the. I mean, because you saw like Neville and Carragher making their teams, and they put people like Trent in. And obviously Trent that last year wasn't that good, hence why he hasn't been put in.
No.
But then they should release the results for these a lot earlier than they do. Otherwise, it gets a bit confusing.
You have to try and think all the way back. You know, my memory's not that good.
No. You could have had a Chelsea defender in there, maybe. Even though I don't like him, Rudiger maybe. Although I'd be a bit saddened if Rudiger made it into a World 11. But I'm a bit saddened that Alaba's made it because he hasn't done anything particularly. So it's just a year in which no Liverpool defenders have really done much, so they're not in.
They're going to be in next year.
Well, Trent will be, won't he?
Midfielders, De Bruyne from City and Belgium, Jorginho, Chelsea, Italy, and Kante, Chelsea and France. Jorginho, I wouldn't put in there.
Jorginho, I've never understood. Like, yes, he won the Euros and yes, he won the Champions League, but he as a player is not that fantastic. I think people have forgotten that De Bruyne didn't have that great a season.
No.
Like, he was all right, but World 11? Not convinced.
Do you think all the footballers that vote don't actually watch them? I mean, because if you're playing and training, do you actually get to watch all these games? I mean, do we not see more games than they do?
Well, I don't really know. Maybe. I mean, the thing, Kante as well, like, he does have an exceptional game here and then. Champions League final, he was fantastic. But he has 1 in 10 in which he's fantastic. It's not really every game in which, he's properly noticed. So it's just a bit. But then you're asking me for other people that I'd put in. I suppose you would put Bruno in because he has pretty much carried United.
Yeah. Was it more of a case he just didn't win anything, so he don't count?
Maybe. But then how's Ronaldo and Messi got in? Well, Haaland's been injured a lot.
Oh, Messi can't be in there next year.
No, he won't be in there. Messi for last season, fine. Messi this year, no. Ronaldo last season, he was okay. It wasn't that fantastic. But then
Juventus didn't want him.
But then you're asking for replacements. And Lewandowski had to be in there.
Well, you're forward. Salah's
really.
got to be in there, has he?
Salah, I suppose you could, but he wouldn't. But Liverpool came third and had that really, really rough patch. So that's the argument for him not being in there last season. Quite honestly, no one's that good at football at the moment.
Look out! Don't tell me to go to Bucks University.
Well, the problem is you can. You can always name like a Barcelona or Real. Normally, you can name like a Barcelona or Real Madrid player that's always insane, or PSG. Mbappe's not in there. You could put Mbappe in maybe. Juventus haven't been that great.
Yeah, because we're on the forwards. Are you talking about now? Because you got Haaland, Lewandowski. His name's too long for me.
Lewandowski.
I'd cut his name in half and just call him Lewin. Messi and Ronaldo. Yeah. Gordon Bennett. What are they going to do when they can't just tap Messi and Ronaldo on the shoulder? Hey,
to find someone else.
They're going to be in trouble, aren't they? I mean, they're just giving everything. I mean, it's about time they just.
I imagine for the next couple of. The next couple of seasons, it could just be Salah, Haaland, and Mbappe. They could just leave it at that for a while.
How long has Lewandowski got left?
He's 33, isn't he? He's got to stop at some point. But the thing with Lewandowski is that obviously he scored an insane number of goals. But Bayern Munich do tend to put on a plate for him. This is like in the box finisher, he's fantastic. Does he create? He doesn't create an awful lot, and it does tend to be put 1-on-1 for him.
That
am I really harsh? I don't know.
18,947 players voted, and they were from 69 countries. Who there doesn't come out of Europe? We got Italy, Austria, Italy, Portugal, Belgium, Italy, France, Norway, Poland, Argentina, Portugal. Messi is the only one that isn't a European footballer. That from 69 countries voted. Are they all actually? Are they? Although they play in Europe, are they all European players? You know, are they European? I mean, yeah, French, Austria, yeah, they are. Italy, Austria, yeah. I mean,
I suppose,
and they all play over here as well.
I mean, whether this is true or not, I'm not going to delve into it. But people have said, is there a reason why Mendy didn't get in, or Salah? Like, both of them being African. Is there a reason why Salah never gets voted for the individual awards? Maybe. I'd like to think no, but I don't know. Mendy being excluded is ridiculous.
This is the first World 11 without a Spanish player since 2007. They hold the record of most World 11 awards with 45, and there ain't one this time. And Brazil is second with 32, and there's none of them. That's interesting. So, come on, Brazil. You've got to sort yourself out. And Spain.
Yeah, but Spain haven't got anyone. They got Morata. That's about it.
Well, English.
Kane.
We haven't got any English players in there.
No. Well, who are you going to put in? I suppose we got to the final. They could have done Sterling, Trent.
There aren't. We're in trouble, aren't we? England.
Nah, Grealish will be fine.
Grealish
will get. Yeah.
Well, Grealish. Right. Remember, it's the year before Jorginho. Replace him with Grealish, can't you?
Or Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips. I'm joking.
I think Grealish could have got in there instead of
Grealish could have got in. Yeah.
Then,
or De Bruyne.
Not this year, obviously.
No, he hasn't done anything. No.
Wrong team. Okay, then. Right. Have you got anything to say other than the film of Brentford versus Wolves should be out shortly? The football match where we had spying, we had banging of heads, we had red cards that weren't, we then had red cards that were. So we had managers sent off, 2.5 hours after the game started, even though they were still just walking off the pitch. What a strange game. What a joke of a game. I mean, apart from the banging of heads, I mean, blimey, did you see that? That was a shocker. So they had to use 2 subs for that one. They were in the same team. That was the problem. Brentford players. What a Dumbo game that was. Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't understand why they stopped the game for a little drone. I couldn't work out. I mean, what did they think? What difference does it make? They didn't think he was going to attack a player, did it?
But it might. Why not?
And
I suppose it could be safe. Filming.
Is it safe? Well, then the police in a helicopter came up there instead to protect the players.
Yeah.
Oh, mad. What a mad game. I mean...
the police with their gun just shooting down, trying to snipe them.
Well, that's it. Yeah. I mean, so obviously we need somebody with a shotgun in the audience, in the crowd to stop this silly behaviour. Okay.
You should have it at Wycombe.
Yeah, with a silly bit. We will make this the last point. Did you see they banned for life the guy off the pitch? I see that they did double check first that he's never been before, so they weren't losing a fan.
Yeah.
Had he been a fan, they probably would have just said, sorry, you can't go to an away game for a week.
It took me a minute to realise what they were on about, because they said he has no ticket history. And I was like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, he's never been before, I see.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have banned him, would they?
No.
I mean, it's easy to ban somebody who never goes, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, we'll stop there, and I'll consider taking out Kieran's ridiculous comments. Bit of an effort. Right, okay, I'll say goodbye. Goodbye. Kieran, say goodbye.